you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man, Andy Gillard, back once again. Hope you're all keeping well in the world right now.
With the Renegade Master. You're so tempted to do it.
I that's why I stumbled a little bit. Shall I say it?
Yeah, for all the about 10 people that have any idea what that even means. Although, Gifford 80s, 90s camp night, they might play it in there.
Quite potentially, because then again, was it early noughties or was it late 90s? I can't quite remember.
It seems very 90s.
It does a bit like it's almost got that Euro trash kind of sound to it. So, like, potentially, but I'm not 100%.
Renegade Master by Roger Mackenzie. Would never have got that in a million years.
No, never.
Was 1995.
Was it really? Fucking hell. That makes me feel old.
The song by English DJ producer Wild Child.
Unreal.
No idea.
No, not a clue. Not a clue.
Re-released in 98.
That might be what I was thinking of, in fairness, but I thought it might have been a bit later.
Yeah.
Stu, did you enjoy hosting last week, Peep Behind the Curtain, a month ago? Did you enjoy this?
Well, it's always one of the, like, the idea of it is not appealing at all, but then once you go in, it's not that too bad at all, really easy. It's a 7-month fancast when I get dragged to do that. And I thought, well, I'd rather be contrarian and wind people up than be serious and sensible and direct the show, but no, it was good. Like I said to the world's most Scottish woman, Monty being on, apparently that was her phone voice, everyone, so it's not us. We couldn't do anything else. Yeah, it was good, and then we had all the Bond stuff that came out afterwards.
I mean, it was literally, you recorded it and then within 24 hours of recording it, the news was all there, wasn't it, about the Amazon stuff? So it was like almost timed perfectly, almost.
Yeah.
I have had multiple people tell me that Dean must have been so uncomfortable sat between you two flirting throughout the whole episode, though.
There was no flirting going on whatsoever.
Multiple people. So it wasn't just a one-off. Several people have said the same to me. And then when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see it. Yeah.
But that's like, well, is this because she was a woman? This is I was exactly the same as I am with everyone else.
I don't know. I just imagine you in like a smoking jacket, to be a barber, but you usually are.
I was in this same dressing gown. And not a dressing gown inside out, like in bottom.
It was a good episode, though. I did enjoy listening to it and chuckling along whilst I was eating my patisserie mushroom. So that picture that I sent you, that was the mushroom that was made out of like strawberry coulis, and there was chocolate and all those bits. That's what I was eating whilst I was listening into the three of you chatting, Bond.
in between takes. You know, after the matinee.
I did laugh when Monty, well, you were discussing what show I was doing this time, and cats, and that did make me laugh that it was cats. Did you ever get round to seeing the Cats film?
The live action one, yeah.
Yeah. It honks, didn't it? It was terrible. I've never seen the live show of Cats, but I don't think the film is anywhere close to the actual stage show. Not that it's running anymore anyway, but yeah, I don't think that they're even remotely close. I don't think I want to see it either, because the film is so bad that even if it is slightly similar, I don't think I'll enjoy it.
I still think that film is a piss take, and no one is in on the joke other than the people who made it.
Well, Toby Hooper, who directed it, he genuinely thought that it would have been Oscar contention. That's why they held off releasing it until when they released it, 'cause it was going to be in the Oscars corridor. So I think that was why they removed the buttholes of the cats, because like they thought it was going to be an Oscar contender, so that we can't show bums in an Oscar-worthy film. So I believe that is what it was sold as to the people, was we think this will be Oscar-worthy, and like it couldn't have been further from the truth. It genuinely was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Horrendous.
But at least it was bad in a funny way, though.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was on the so bad it's good, almost on that pathway, I think.
Yeah, we'll have. I'm guessing you haven't seen it yet. I'll have Snow White to talk about next time. I just need to do it. I know it's gonna really, really piss me off, and I know full well that I'm gonna get angry at it. But I can't be slagging it off without seeing it, can I? So I
I know what you mean.
I need to just sit through it and just grin and bear it, really. And it's only 101 minutes, so it's not even that bad.
Yeah, it's not a long film at all, is it? From what I've seen, there's no way. Like it's got to be review bombed. Is it what 1.7 on IMDb? Got there's absolutely no way on earth that Disney will put out a film that is legitimately that bad. That's just got to be people giving it 1 stars because they don't like one or the other of the leads, and that genuinely seems to be the big issue here. Is that you're either pro Zegler and anti Godot, or vice versa. And I might watch it once it's out on streaming, but I'm not wasting petrol going to the cinema to see it. Like it's not, unless it's on that podcast that I listen to where they do the bad films, I won't be rushing to see this one.
No, especially a lot of things like Novocaine that I want to watch as well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Novocaine and Working Man are both out.
Working Man, so yeah, it came out today. It came out this week. Working Man.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, because Ash went to see it.
And there's that other one as well with Magneto in that looks good. I don't want to call me. He's been in many other things other than X-Men.
With Fassbender.
Yeah.
Fassbender, Magneto. Black Bag.
Yeah.
Good film. It's available to stream now.
Oh, well, I'll do. That's sort of tomorrow night then.
Yeah. It's Steven Soderbergh, I think, written and directed. Yeah. So it's a well-written, well-directed film. I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. It's the kind of film that I want them to support a bit more at the cinemas, but giving it like a fucking 13-day release window before it's available on streaming is absolutely ridiculous. So it stood no chance.
Yeah, and there's a few things like Riff Raff is already out on streaming as well. The Bill Murray film.
Yeah.
Which he was doing all that promotion for when he was on Rogan. And that was a really good episode of Rogan as well.
I didn't listen to it, to be fair.
He was just, because he had no idea who he was. So he was just being himself.
Gotta love a bit of Bill Murray, to be fair.
Yeah, but I did. I was just saying, did you actually, other than treading the boards, did you actually see anything other than the plays over there?
I went to a couple of museums and saw a couple of shows. So I saw Hades Town, which was like the big winner of the Tony Awards released in 2019, sorry. And then I saw maybe Happy Ending, which it's a new show this year, but it's been running since 2016 in Korea. So those were the two big things that I did. I didn't go to the cinema or anything like that, and like the 9/11 museum. I mean, don't get me wrong, like it's somber, but the room with the kids' paintings was fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, but it was so inappropriate, some of the stuff that the kids had drawn. Obviously, they were trying to be like actually, I don't even know what the kids were trying to be like. If you asked your kids to draw a picture of, like, one of the worst events that have ever happened, do you think that they would potentially draw themselves as a giant catching the plane from hitting the Twin Towers? I kind of not having kids or spent any time around children, I don't know what their thinking would be. I was kind of baffled, but I had to stifle a laugh several times looking at it.
I presume it's like the logical thing that they'd think. Like, what would if I had a superpower? How would I stop this happening? And it would be like, okay, yeah, I'd make myself big to catch the plane. I can kind of see it from that point of view. But like when you see that picture, I thought this is like the sketches in Deadpool.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like the one where the Twin Towers are pretty much on fire and they were being rescued by a fucking roller coaster coming out with them. I was just like, this is so inappropriate. It's hilarious, but completely inappropriate. I like it's a somber thing and walking around. And I said to our friend Todd, there's one picture that I took that it's for motorcycles and choppers rather than motorcycles, so like iguans, where they've, like, painted the American flag and the memorial to 9/11, and I just texted him like, "This is the most American thing I've seen." Just incomprehensible, some of the stuff in there. It was incredible. Yeah. One of the other museums I went to was the Museum of the Moving Image, which, like, it's a bit more, obviously my kind of speed with film and everything, and they had a whole section that was just the Muppets. It was all, like, Jim Henson. So they had Jareth from the Labyrinth, they had his costume and Sarah from the Labyrinth, Kermit, Miss Piggy in her wedding gown. Oh, that was really cool. There was some of the stuff from The Exorcist. They had, like, Regan's, they had a model made up like Regan, and then, like, the clothing that she wore, the legs that were in Black Swan, when she'd got, like, beaten and was murdered and you'd just see her legs. They were there, and, like, they looked so realistic. It was incredible. I really enjoyed that. That was a good day out. I think it's a fairly new museum though, so I expect in a year or two's time, once they've completely done everything, it will be fantastic. At the minute, it's just a little bit on the shallow side, I think. But I didn't pay for it, so winner.
So you went to a film museum and watched a Korean play.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
As on brand as possible. I was thinking, like, the only thing I've done like that was remember when they had the Jerry Anderson event at the art gallery, when you actually had the Thunderbirds puppets there, and they were a lot bigger than I always imagined them being.
Mm. They had, like, a few decent exhibitions on at the Wolves Museum back in the day. I haven't been for some years. Did you ever get round to the football one?
Oh, it was really good. That was because a lot of it was on loan from the National Football Museum as well.
Mm.
So they had, like, proper Pele and Maradona and proper pieces rather than just like Tom Finney and stuff like that you'd expect. And like a bit of a hoof from the White Horse final or something like that. But yeah, there was, like, especially for shirts and nerdy stuff like that, there was loads of things in there. I was really surprised. Like I'd happily, like, pay like 10, 15 quid to go around with something like that. And I was in there for, but it's not that big, is it? That art gallery really. So I was probably in there 45 minutes, like from top to bottom. It was a really good event. But again, they put it all over lampposts, but you ain't gonna get any footfall really, especially at that time of year. So it was in the summer, wasn't it? It was out of season.
It was, yeah.
And I know that a few people who came, a few of the permanent alcoholics who came and went to the event as a reason to drink out of season with no football on. But yeah, it was good. Right, I I've mentioned Thunderbirds. I didn't realize that it wasn't a thing really in America. Which is
Thunderbirds.
yeah. So I mean, I mentioned this in the little group thing that I'm in with Danny P and Chris and Josh Buckley, and I mentioned it just off the cuff, and he said I had to look this up. And what? You had to look up Thunderbirds? Like, how is this possible? I didn't realize how incredibly English it is.
Well, when you think about obviously Matt and Trey doing
Exactly, Team America.
Team America, like you'd have thought that if it was big enough for them to have done it, and granted, I know they'll have like niche interests, but you'd have thought it would be enough in their conscience to know about these kind of things. That's surprised me a bit. That has.
I mean, how old are they? That's the point. Because I'm guessing they're in their 50s now.
Yeah, I think so.
It might have been the case that it was played like in the late 70s, and then it was never put on syndication or anything like that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
He'll get Todd to tell us. Thunderbirds, Fireball XL5, but like that thing with the Blu-ray in the 4:3 remaster. It's a great way. Pre-order. Register your interest, all 50,000 of us.
Right, so we're here this week. I was going to say TV special. I think we need to talk about Adolescence first. I didn't put that on the running order, but thinking about it, that's taken over the world. And then we're going to be looking at some Apple TV stuff. And then Nic Cage-fueled is going to be in the second part where we're looking at his film from, is it 2014, Stu? I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014, the dark period of Cage's work. Film called Rage or Tokarev, apparently, if you're in most of Europe for some bizarre reason.
Well, do you want to say any other films first before Adolescence? Because the other films that I watched are very unserious compared to that.
Yeah, go on. What else have you seen then recently, Stu?
The Monkey.
It's great, isn't it? How good is The Monkey? Like, I fucking loved it. Proper good comedy horror that doesn't skimp on the comedy or the horror. It gives you what you want.
It feels like if The Boys had a Chucky spin-off.
Yeah, I get that.
That kind of silliness, that kind of over-the-top gore, that kind of humour. I was quite shocked how good it really was. And is that a 2025 film? Does that count?
Yes. It was released last month, I think it was. Yeah, it's on my list anyway for 2025. So yeah, it will be.
Yeah, because I thought, well, this is again gone to streaming quite quickly, because as soon as you mentioned it, I went to go the next week and it was gone straight away. Was it like in a secret screening or something like that you saw it in?
I think I saw it in a secret screening, and then it was released on the Friday. And I think it may have had a week, maybe two. I don't think it had a particularly long run.
Yeah.
Not like Long Legs, which went on, that had a decent run at the cinema, quite surprisingly.
or the pensioners. Any idea what they were doing? But I think they were pensioners would enjoy this film, actually. I was really surprised, and it put me, like, I've done something to my shin now, and I can't walk properly. So I've been hobbling around, and watching The Monkey kind of cheered me up a bit. But there was times where I was just cry laughing at it. You know exactly the pieces. You don't want to ruin it, but just the premise of it is like Gremlins crossed with.
Was it the bit at the motel pool? Because that did crack me up. That bit was very funny.
Yeah, with the water. Yes.
Yeah. That's it. Say no more. But yeah.
Final Destination cross with
Gremlins,
cross with they're the boys, I suppose. Yeah, really, really good fun. As was. I'll come back to that one at the end. Have you watched Last One Laughing yet?
I haven't yet. It's on the list with a couple of other shows I need to try and catch up. I'm currently watching The Studio, which I mentioned to you earlier. So I was going to watch those 3 episodes to catch up, and then Last One Laughing.
I mean, it's you either get Bob Mortimer or you don't get Bob Mortimer. And I think now there's very few who don't. Like, my mom still doesn't get it at all. Like, the song that he's singing to Daisy that's gone everywhere on the clips. She's like, I watched it and I didn't get it. I didn't understand why she was not laughing because it wasn't funny. I went, yeah, but it's him. he can he can do anything. Like the magic act thing, he can do anything he wants, and it's just utterly ridiculous. But the premise is like, well, okay, is this going to be any good? And I like the Irish one, not knowing hardly any of them.
That Graham Norton, isn't it? Who's presenting that one?
Yeah. Well, that's why I watched it, because I like Graham Norton. But I've seen a few of them in a few different things here and there. But even the English one, really, I didn't know many. But not being a panel show aficionado like you are, I've seen them there and thereabouts, and obviously Richard and the obvious ones. But I watched it in 2 sittings, and the second one gave me a headache because I was laughing so much.
Outstanding.
And
I think Bob Mortimer, going back to him for a second, I remember when we were growing up, obviously, I'm assuming you were a Shooting Stars fan as well.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to be like Vic, like he was the comedic genius and Bob was his friend, sort of thing, was how it was perceived, I think.
Well,
I think that's a controversial statement, but you see it now, and I think attitudes have done a 180. I think people think that, I mean, people don't dislike Vic at all, but people recognise now what Bob brings to the table. Like, his comedy is ridiculous, but it's understated slightly, and that's what makes it so ridiculous, is the way he delivers it, is that he's just a genuinely funny human being. Everything he does just is hilarious. I love Bob. He's one of those guys that you'll watch on anything, any podcast where he's been interviewed, you're listening to it. Doesn't matter if you've heard any of the other episodes, Bob's in it, so that's enough.
Yeah, like his yearly appearance on Herring, which I don't really listen to that very often, but it's straight away.
To be done.
But yeah, well, I mean, Jim's gonna. Well, the fact that he's calling him Jim now as well, and not Vic. Whenever he talks about him, he does his poetry and his flowers and his serious acting and being in Coronation Street for a bit, like he was for some reason.
Is he really?
Yeah, but he was being serious in Coronation Street. It was very odd. But that whole thing that he was like, he just met him when he was a lawyer. So the whole Vic thing came first anyway. So he was a bit of a sidekick.
Yeah,
it's not really. I think it would still be funny without him in it. It's that good. But I spoke to Danny, he watched it being an Anglophile as well, and he being a fan of QI, amazingly, in America. That's translated all. And yeah, he said he really loved it as well. The other one, which seems to be, I don't know why, The Electric State.
No, I've avoided everything about this. I've literally seen the headlines, and this is the new latest worst film of all time. It is what it seems to be, reading the headlines.
Yeah, it's got to the stage where you can't just be a good fun film anymore. You have to be you have to the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. And this is the epitome of the Ryan Reynolds films of last year, the year before.
Is this the slot machine dripping out the slop?
I think it's better than that, though. This is why this one, I think, ironic with it being about robots, that it's actually got a little bit of heart about it. None of them are going to win any awards for their acting in this. Obviously, it's a silly action sci-fi film, a bit like Evolution was. And I think that you can kind of compare it to that, and if it was released in the late 90s, that's what the kind of thing it'd be. You can see where all the money has gone on the effects, which were stunning for me. I don't know what people are having to go about that for. I didn't see anything. I know I watched it full projector as well. It looked like they'd spent $300 million on CG, and that's what it was. It was a visual tour de force with very little story. But it was funny in patches, and it was a good Friday night sitting there at home watching a film that you don't have to think about, which is the vast majority of the time my kind of thing anyway. But to go in expecting it to be more than that, I don't understand. And people seem to hate her as well, when I don't think she's done anything wrong, really.
I haven't seen her in a lot, in fairness. I've seen her in Stranger Things where she's fine. The character doesn't really call for a lot of range, does it? Let's be honest, if we're being honest with these things. But I think she does seem to churn out a lot of stuff that would be described as Netflix slop. It's second screen viewing. This will be background whilst I'm scrolling on TikTok or whatever it is. I think that's why people have an issue with her and other cast members. I think there's only really Finn Wolfhard who gets a bit of a pass from the Stranger Things lot, and obviously I think Joe Keery's done a bit hit and missy kind of things too.
But Damsel as well. I thought Damsel last year was it last year? Yeah, Damsel that she was in. That was I really enjoyed that. That was fun. But that's all. She's like a female version of Ryan Reynolds in that she's not brilliant, but she doesn't have to be.
Yeah, she just does what she needs to, and that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I went. It's on a 5.9 electric state. That's probably fair. But you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score of critics to audience, and it's like 16% for critics, and then audience is about 71-ish. Exactly what you expect it to be.
That's the problem with the binary nature of Rotten Tomatoes, isn't it? I suppose it doesn't leave a lot of room for nuance. To be honest, I think part of the issue now, and I don't know when this changed, but when did we start talking about the budget of films? And I know we do it on this podcast. We're just as guilty as anyone else. But it does feel like social media and everything will take the budget into consideration. Like a $320 million movie, shouldn't that be the best movie that's ever made? Probably not really. And why would I give a shit? Because it's not my $320 million.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we have that conversation anymore. But that seems to be like a bit of a driving force with films now.
Yeah, it's like how did we get Marsha Monetti for less than 40 million quid? Because it's obviously a pog.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a conversation for the fancast on the next recording show. Have you seen anything else? Anything else worthy of mention?
Let me just check. There was one other thing. You never went for Bosch though, did you?
Oh, Bosch. They said Bush. I was going to say, what the fuck's Bosch?
Well,
I do go for the Rush, but yeah. No one ever went for Bosch, but I do like Titus Welliver. I think he's a tremendous actor.
Yeah, it's the last one now, Bosch Legacy Season 3. So we had 4 episodes of that, and then there's 2 this week, and then there's 2 next week, and then 2 the week after. And this is being billed as the final season. He will appear in other things, but his story's kind of run its course. So they've got other characters from the main series. This is a spin-off anyway.
Yeah.
And I like it how his daughter Maddie is in this, and she is been played by the same girl, no woman, as was an actual child in the series itself. So they have followed her the whole way through and not replaced her.
That's good. I mean, that's rare as well, isn't it? So
yeah. So she's pretty good actually. Yeah, it's your police procedural that's never dipped below a 7 in that kind of thing. It's one of them things because it's on Prime and it was on that Freevee nonsense thing last time.
Yeah.
That kind of buried it away, but now that's gone away and it's been folded all into one Prime Video. They're pushing it, but it's almost like, well, this is the last one now, and you've got like 9 years worth to catch up with at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bosch is good, but then nothing's going to be, I think, the unmistakable best thing of the year in Adolescence, is it?
Yeah. Before we get to Adolescence, I have seen 2 films I think are probably worthy of mention. Mickey 17. I mean, I like Bong Joon-ho. I was a fan of Parasite. This is a lot closer to Snowpiercer, though. Like, it's clearly an allegory about class and all those kind of things. But there's quite a bit of comedy to it. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, fantastic. Like, they were such good fun in this film. I don't think I knew a lot about Mark Ruffalo before Avengers MCU nonsense. So I kind of just dismissed him, if I'm being perfectly honest. But then seeing him in Poor Things last year and Mickey 17 this year, I'm like, you are capable of doing performances that are so big and bolshy and over the top that I think you might be a comedic genius because you've got it in your locker. It was fantastic, and I do love a bit of Battinson anyway. And obviously, this is double Battinson, so it was tremendous. Really good film. One that I think probably deserves to be seen on a cinema screen because it's very big and there's a lot going on that needs that big screen. So I would implore you, if you get a chance, to give it a viewing on the big screen, if it's still even running.
It is, but that was the other one I was thinking. I couldn't think of the name of when there was a few all out at once, and that hasn't gone on streaming yet, thankfully.
Running, I think.
So I might have to get that one in next week because it has been out 4 weeks now.
Yeah, I think it might have been 2 weeks before New York. Yeah, it was, because I went to see the next film that I was going to mention is a film called One of Them Days, which is Keke Palmer and SZA, who I think she's a musician. I could admit I don't really know much about her, but I am a fan of Keke Palmer, so I thought I'd give that one a go. I was told that it was a pretty good American comedy, and that was literally all I knew about it going in, and that was enough. And they play two best friends who just have, like it says, it's called One of Them Days. They need to get money to pay their rent. And it's all about their journey of just all the batshit nonsense that goes on throughout their day in order to get enough money to get their rent together by the end of it. It was a really good, fun film that I went in just hoping that I'd get a good Keke Palmer comedy, and actually really, really enjoyed myself. And I thought that SZA was fantastic. I don't even know if this was like her first performance. I don't know a lot about her. I know, I think she has got some acting. I know a lot of them seem to be under her name. I wonder if they're just like music videos and stuff. Yeah, 3 minutes. So this might even be like one of her feature film debuts for all I know. But she was great. Really, really enjoyable film, and I'd recommend it if you get a chance.
Is that in the cinema?
I saw it at the cinema the Friday before I went away. So, and I think it had been out a week then. So there's every chance that it's not there anymore. Wouldn't be surprised if it was on streaming soon. But yeah, I check that one out. I think you'd enjoy that. Like, I like the African American comedy, like Friday and Last Friday. They're doing, next Friday, and I think they're doing one called Last Friday as well, is what I've heard. So I'm quite looking forward to that in a year or two's time. But I like that kind of cinema, and this one very much falls into that category.
SZA, the Jamaican musician.
Is that what? Okay, I'll take your word for it. SZA.
Oh no, that's not. That's Sizzler.
Oh right, now American singer songwriter when I Google it, but yeah, it's just SZA.
Oh, I know who she is. Yeah,
yeah. New to me, but I was impressed. I really was. I thought she was great. But yeah, like you said, all pale in comparison to what is probably the best thing of 2025. Adolescence. I mean, we've always said how much we like Stephen Graham. Like we've been big fans of his work since way back when. Like, I'm genuinely struggling to think what was the first thing I saw him in. It feels like he's been a mainstay of British and now world cinema. Because obviously he's done a fair bit of work with Marty Scorsese too, which always gets your name known, doesn't it?
yeah. I'm just having a look. So I'm curious about that. Stephen Graham. So now this is England, I'm thinking, but he's got to have done something before that.
Yeah, I think but he must have done. Obviously, Snatch. I think Snatch may have been the first thing I saw him in. Actually, thinking about it, we played Turkish's sidekick, didn't he?
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name now, but he was the sidekick in that.
Gangs of New York.
Tommy, that was it. Tommy, 2000 Snatch. Jesus. I think that probably was the first. He was in 6 episodes of Coronation Street.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I think Snatch was the first thing looking at the list, there's nothing before that I other than the odd episode here and there, like he was in a couple episodes of Liverpool 1, apparently.
Yeah, it was crap. That was. I'm sure that was a police drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but I don't think I watched a lot of it. It's in 3 episodes of The Bill, like everybody was. But yeah, Snatch, I think, must have been his breakout role, because then, like, it then goes on to a couple of episodes of Band of Brothers and Gangs of New York in 2002. Like, his career really ramps up after Snatch.
He was in Children's Ward
Don't think I've seen that.
with Jane Dancer was in Children's Ward as well, on Coronation Street. It was a kids' TV, a bit like Spats. It was around.
Oh,
that
right,
sort of time.
okay.
He was in 2 episodes of that. So that and 1 episode of Heartbeat in '93. So I had seen him before.
He was in Goal. Jeez, I'd forgot about that. And of course, he was in the Arctic Monkeys video for When the Sun Goes Down. Scummy, which was the better title. Scummy Man, I think, was better than When the Sun Goes Down. But yeah, he's had a great career, and he's very much one of those actors, like I said about Bob Mortimer, I'll watch him in anything. Stephen Graham is as well, because you know that there's a certain level of authenticity in his performances. I think no matter what he does, they always feel like they ring true. They always feel genuine and emotional. Like there's a heft to his performances every single time. And Adolescence doesn't book that trend out either.
No. And I've had Taboo as well, that I mention all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Single series. It's on Prime now as well, according to that. Superb in there. Yeah, there was a thing. This is not the first time he's done something like this, is it? What was it called? The one that they did about COVID that was really serious.
I never saw that one.
Help.
Yes. I remember that coming out, and I'd put it on the list, and then for whatever reason never got around to it.
Yeah, that was rough. That was.
Mm.
In a similar kind of way that this was.
How did you feel they handled it? Because obviously watching it, I went in pretty blind. Literally the only thing I knew about it is that it was sort of centered around a murder, and that it was one shot. That was all I knew going into it. So the fact that this isn't a spoiler, because it's literally 2/3 of the first episode, that they tell you that actually this kid did kill the woman. Do you think that was the right move, actually, and doing it like that to just tell the story of what's gone on, rather than try and sensationalize it a little bit? Because I think if this was a show on ITV or BBC, they'd have spent 6 episodes. Did he, didn't he? All that nonsense.
It's different. And like I've watched so many. I never do this either. Like I've watched almost every interview I could find on YouTube where he's talked to different people.
Mm.
Most of the time saying exactly the same thing. Like he was on This Morning. He was doing the whole thing. He was on magazine shows and stuff like that. And he said on there that it was intentional because they wanted to be about the why and not the if.
Mm.
And that is spot on. And the fact that it's in the first episode, you're like, yeah, is this kid being framed? And then they just show it on the camera. And they're like, no, he did he. He's like, wow. And his reaction to it. And because I'll follow anyone on Twitter, and I'll follow some mental right-wing lunatics who think everything's a conspiracy, mostly for entertainment a lot of the time. I watched it as soon as it started getting a bit of traction. And people were putting, this is what Netflix think. They're whitewashing it all, and this is the grooming gangs. And I thought, this is clearly not what any of this is about. So I watched it, and I watched it in single episodes, and I watched 2 in the first day and 2 the next day, and 1 in the afternoon, 1 at night, and it was incredible. And I thought, yeah, it's nothing to do with any of that stuff. I think what's happened since with it being, let's give it free to schools. I mean, there's other things they should be talking about in schools and a drama about this, really. But it was so real. And having not gone through this, but been around that environment, and the school episode was as close to anything I've ever seen being nailed as it was. People think, yeah, this is what secondary schools are like. Yes, they are. It's carnage out there. It's the Wild West. And obviously this is exaggerated slightly, as it would be because one of their friends has been killed. But you can easily see how this could escalate to this effect where they've got no control over anyone and they've got no respect. So, yeah, I think it was nothing short of a 10 out of 10 from everyone involved in every episode.
That episode in the school, I think, was like I can say the worst, but it made me feel the worst watching it because it was so tense. Like it felt like a pot that was simmering, ready to just boil over. And like they're in school, it shouldn't be this tense. It was like they were in a fucking zoo and there was no segregation between the animals. Like they were ready to kill each other. So when you said to me, like a day after I'd watched it, this is what it's like, I was kind of blown away. I assumed it was sort of, played for the camera, so to speak. But the fact that it probably isn't, and this is what the world is like a little bit out there now, is kind of terrifying.
Yeah. And obviously not so much with anything, but for when Rob was there, it was not as bad as this. But you just see them now walking out of school, and like we always used to take the piss out of people when you're walking down the street and stuff. And I did have one. I did laugh, to be honest. When I was walking because you have to walk past there to go and get to the primary school to pick Corey up. And I did have a cap on and a Jets, not this one, a normal Jets jersey on, but I did have my jean shorts on as well. And someone came up to me and started doing the John Cena theme tune. And I just looked at him and said, "How can you see me?" And all his friends like, "Oh, you got ripped." And all, yeah, you can kind of laugh at them, but again, you're taking your life in your hands because you don't know how they're gonna respond. I don't know who they are, but I thought, I was being quick-witted. I thought, yeah, it just instantly. But you do see them like they are like roaming packs, and whereas before it was, yeah, you can have a laugh. Now you kind of have to kind of second guess yourself because you never know what's going on. You never know if they're bladed up or anything like this.
Yeah.
And this is not a thing about race or where they're from or anything like that. It's just kids today in general. And it's scary.
Speaking of scary, episode 3, that was the first ever day on a proper set for the kid. I can't even remember the kid's name. I should have looked it up. That performance was masterful for someone who's got such little experience of doing any acting. That was incredible.
Yeah.
I was absolutely blown away. I genuinely, if you'd have told me he was like a 30-year vet, I would have probably believed you because the performance he gave was incredible. Not a was it 13, was he, when he filmed this, I believe? Absolutely incredible performance. Because really the show does kind of hinge on whether or not he's believable.
Yeah.
And he was believable.
And you do see it as well, especially that age where they can be innocent one minute and, oh yeah, you are actually a child. They're being complete cunts the next. Like as he flips and like throws a chair. And I mean, her as well, obviously she's a lot older, but to not react, not laugh. I mean, I presume they haven't showed the outtakes, like funny outtakes for obvious reasons, because it's a serious subject, but they did 14 takes of some of them just to see which are the best. And this had mistakes in it, and they just went with it. Perfect.
Yeah, I know there's the one bit where he has like a bit of a frog in his throat. He chokes a little bit, and he just ran with it. Like he just made it part of his performance. that is such an incredibly mature thing to do for an actor, to not say, "Oh, I need a minute to have a glass of water and we'll go again." No, he's just like, "This is what my character did. This isn't Owen Cooper. His name is. This isn't Owen Cooper with a frog in his throat. This is Jamie, and this is how Jamie would act." Like, there are actors who have been working much longer who I don't think have got the presence of mind on screen that kid did. I actually thought just absolutely incredible. He'll be winning some awards, I think. I think like the BAFTAs, Adolescence are going to sweep up in, I was going to say 12 months, in 9-10 months time. I think it'll be the one to watch next award season.
Yeah, and I think like it is weird how last year when I said Mr. Bates versus the Post Office was my number one by the minute I watched it.
Yeah.
And then Postmasters actually got justice in the end. And like, it takes TV show. This is how fucked up everything is. It takes TV shows to bring real events to the bit of public consciousness. It's bizarre.
It's horrendous, isn't it? Like, this should be on the fucking radar of the people in charge anyway. They should know this stuff.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take Stephen Graham and Philip Barantini, I think, and Jack Thorne, I think, was the writer of it. Shouldn't take these people to bring it to their attention. But it does seem to have kicked off something, which, I mean, it's better than nothing. Better late than never, but even so. I fully think we'll be talking about this again in several months' time when we're talking about our top fives, because this feels like it's the Mr. Bates and the Postmaster. It feels like it's that out of this year.
Yeah, easily.
One thing I did like about it as well, in the fourth episode, that kind of amazed me, is again, that was a one shot that starts in their house and then goes over to like a B&Q type place and then ends up going. I just found that absolutely incredible that all of that happened like within the space of an hour. Because when you think about real life, you think, oh, that's like a 3-hour thing in your day. But just the way that it constantly was moving throughout, and you're like, actually, that sort of is real, isn't it? Like how the world works. And I was quite amazed that it didn't do like the false camera shots and pans just to try and get in these edits for the sake of it, to try and move the story across, which I think it could have done, but it didn't. It just kind of let it breathe. And I thought that was such a refreshing thing in a drama, giving it space to let something land.
Yeah, it is like going from here to Hobbycraft. It's probably that kind of distance away. And I think it's quite funny that it took Jeremy Clarkson asking him on Twitter how they did it to release all the stuff.
That is odd. Like, some of those shots were absolutely astounding. Like, I remember texting you as soon as I watched the second episode, the drone shot. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
And the fact that someone had already asked and they'd released the info. I watched that scene. Well, I say scene. I watched that clip twice. Like, I watched it, text you, rewound it, and watched it again because I was in awe. The fact that they managed to do it by just filming normally and attaching it, and there's no clunkiness to it. Like, you don't feel them attach it to the drone.
That's something amazing. It must have a gimbal on the attachment part. That's the only way it'd work. Because even the one where in the in that first one when they break the door down and he goes up the stairs and it's just a guy passing it to another guy who's upstairs. It's so simple. Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible work. Like, I think visually, and I think, both the artistic side of it and the technical side of it, it just marries together perfectly, and it does give you something that is just awe-inspiring, just incredible TV. Brilliant. Right, so speaking of brilliant television, Apple TV Plus. This is probably the underdog's not the right word, because it's $1 billion company, no matter how much of the stocks have dropped in the last couple of days. They're a massive company. There's no denying it. It is Apple. They have all the money in the world. But somehow, I kind of feel like Apple have given us like one of the most talked about shows of any week or month over pretty much the last 2 or 3 years. Like there's always something on Apple TV which the whole world seems to be talking about. I find that kind of bizarre because at the same time, I don't know anybody who's got Apple TV unless it's part of like a free 3-month trial. Like when I got my iPad at Christmas, I got a 3-month trial. It's so weird, and they don't really do a very good job of advertising their shit either. But somehow, they've given us a lot of very, very good television.
Yeah, and they do all these things like they're the exclusive worldwide home of the MLS. Obviously, we can't watch it here. Well, we can if you want, but it's in the middle of the night. So,
Yeah.
and I know you got the replay function, but it's a pain in the arse trying to. It's at that Likely Lads clip of trying to avoid the results.
Mm.
It's hard enough watching NFL games, let alone that. But talking of how they do no promotion, in the second mention for Josh, he got the this could be DK Bet put a thing on. If you essentially paid $7.25 to get a season pass for the MLS. So as a promotional bet, you got a season pass for the MLS season for free.
Fantastic.
And if they're doing stuff like this, yeah, they are so massive. It's like, and you're right. Like I had 6 months on a PlayStation promotion twice,
Same. Yeah.
and I probably paid one. I've paid 1 month for it because I forgot to cancel it. But it is such a pain in the arse to set it up as well. Like if you're not in the fruit world, then and you haven't got logins for that, and you have to go through iTunes. It might be different now, but having to create an Apple account and all that kind of stuff, it was too difficult. And I can see people trying it and then just thinking, "Nah, I'll just nick this."
Absolutely. I remember when I had my trial, like the app doesn't like it works obviously, but it's not like Netflix. I think is quite easy. If anything, Netflix, there's too much going on with Netflix that it's hard to find what you want because there's so much of it. Whereas this feels really sparse. Like you can go into some shows and films and you can't actually watch them. You've got to pay extra for them. But like rather than hiding out the premium stuff, it's mixed in with everything. Like it's not a very user-friendly app at all. So I can also see that being an issue, especially for your older viewers who don't want to be pissing around trying to find a TV show. They just want it on the home screen. I don't think it's well designed at all as an app. It's quite bad.
It's a bit like how Prime used to be, where you had a little tile at the
Yeah.
top that says Prime, like included with,
Mm.
and that's not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's not. I really dislike it for that. I don't know if they've changed it because it does feel like it's due a good cleanup, I think. But it's been a few months since I was last on there, and I didn't think it was very good. So what I thought we'd do, Stu, we'll talk about a few shows that we've both watched, and then I want you to sell me on a few shows that you've watched, and I'll try and sell you on a few shows that I've watched, and then we'll just talk about a few of the other shows that we both kind of want to see that neither of us have seen at this point. I think Ted Lasso was probably the first big event thing on Apple TV. I mean, that was the reason I signed up initially, was because I wanted to watch Ted Lasso.
Yeah, well, one of mine that I'll mention is the reason I did before Ted Lasso, but like 2 seasons of Ted Lasso are perfect, absolutely perfect. And I always said at the time, you watch that trailer and you think this is going to be the most cringe-worthy shit ever.
It should be.
It does nothing at all.
Yeah,
that trailer.
It's a Saturday Night Live actor doing a British TV show. That should be dog shit.
Yeah,
it should be terrible. But he absolutely got it. I think a big part of why is because Bill Lawrence was the showrunner. And like, I'm a massive Scrubs fan, as mentioned several times. Bill Lawrence knows how to put heart in comedy, more so than probably anybody else. And that's why Ted Lasso was so good, is because it was emotional and it was dramatic as well as the comedy. It was a well-rounded show that I don't think, having seen the Ted Lasso skits, it was ever going to be that without someone like Bill Lawrence and Brett Goldstein sort of steering the ship.
Yeah, them Premier League ones, I didn't get that at all. I thought it's not the same. Well, it's not the same, is it? It's based on them, and the fact that it's Tottenham is even funnier. But yeah, it's not the same. And I think it is probably the warmth that makes it work. Probably right there, because in them little adverts, there was none of that there. He was a bit of a bellend.
Yeah. The joke was that he was an American football coach trying to play soccer. Like that was not, I mean, yeah, it's funny for a 30-second clip, but if you're going to try and do a 30 to 40-minute show, 8 to 10 episodes per season, like that's going to get old quick. So they pretty much dropped that immediately, and I think that was the right way to go about it.
Yeah, it's a bit like trying to make a whole series about the Peter Kay, John Smith get-in man.
It is, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. Like, there's only so many times you can do the catchphrase before you'll get tired of that shit.
Yeah. But I thought, I didn't like the last series. We said this at the time. I was kind of glad when it ended, and now it's fucking not ended. It's back. And I think making it about a women's football team, it's gonna either go back to what it was before, or it's gonna be so tick boxy. It is gonna be cringy, and I kind of worry for it, because it almost, when they started going extra long episodes rather than just half hour, I didn't like it. It didn't work.
I agree. It was better when it was tightly edited.
Mm.
And like, I enjoyed most of season 3. Was it season 3 or season 4? I can't remember when the last one was now. 3. I enjoyed most of it, but it did veer towards being mawkish every now and again. Like, it was just that little bit on the edge. Sometimes it was fine. Sometimes it was a little bit too much. And you are right. Like, I do think that it could be perfectly fine if they capture the magic, like it being a women's football team rather than the original group. That's not really an issue, unless they try and make it all about, like you said, the tick boxing exercises. Don't do that. Just make a comedy that is about a football team. Doesn't matter if it's about a men's team or a women's team. It's kind of irrelevant. Don't try to make it more than it needs to be. Like, a comedy shouldn't live or die on the gender of somebody in it. It should live or die on the fact that it's a good comedy and that you're telling a good story. That's the most important thing. As long as they get the right people back. Brett Goldstein, I think he's a very good writer, and I've enjoyed pretty much everything he's done. I do have hope for it.
Yeah, it can't go badly, but they seem to have. It seems very divided, because people seem to love it more season 3 over there than here. But who is the show being made for? Presumably them than us. Just from
big market, isn't it?
Yeah, from sheer numbers point of view. So it could go that route. I don't know. I'll obviously watch it and give it a chance. But I'd rather it didn't exist at all, really.
I don't think it's needed. I really don't. But you are right. Like, we'll definitely watch it, of course. But no, I am in agreement with you. The next big show. Now we'll talk about Severance now, because I think Severance, when that was released in 2021, 2022, was it? When that was released, a lot of people was talking about season 1, and then we had this massive fuck off 3-year gap, and then it's probably been the biggest show in the world in 2025 as well. Did you watch it as it went out first time, or were you a bit of a latecomer to it?
Yeah, I mentioned it on here as being weird and bizarre, and the concept being a bit out there, and the fact that it was so minimalistic, it could be boring to some people. But no, I didn't know anyone who talked about it at all, and I was one of I only I watched it because they mentioned it on certain American podcasts I listened to, and like, yeah, you need to watch this thing on Apple TV. It's amazing. It's never seen anything like it before. And it's kind of gone that way. I think season 2 is even more crazy than the first one. Obviously with more money thrown at them after the break. But yeah, I was in at day 1, and then I did have to watch it again before watching season 2 because it had been 3 years. And certain things had happened since then. So I'm glad I did, because it is such a continuation from one to the second. But yeah, it's one of the... I can't even say one of the best things I've ever seen, because it's too strange to recommend to people.
I think once we get the resolution, then we can really talk about how, like, where it's going to sit on the pantheon of great television. Because it's clearly brilliant. Like, I've enjoyed the journey as we've got, but they need to stick the landing. Because if they lost it, maybe it's not going to be held up. Maybe that's going to ruin like what's happened previously. Obviously, I gave up halfway through Lost, so I can't really talk too much about it. But I know that the fans, bar you and Matt, generally aren't that happy with the end of Lost. And that, I think, would be the worry here, is that if they don't stick the landing, then there'll be questions asked. But as far as I'm aware, it's only going to be going for 4 seasons, I think, is what the storyline is planned out for. So we're halfway through the story. And I feel like they've done enough to tie off loose ends before giving us new questions, where Lost didn't do that, or at least it didn't do that for me. That was my issue with Lost, is I never got any resolution to anything before a new plot was picked up.
Well, and they've admitted as well with Lost that they made it up as they were going along. There was no plan.
It felt like it, didn't it? To be fair.
I remember that ending being not... I think there's been a lot of revisionist history with that, because it was not at the time as hated on the forums anyway. On 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42.com, which I went on every day.
What you did?
It was like a ritual every week. As soon as I watched it, and then I'd watch it on my own, and then I'd watch it when it was up the next day with my girlfriend, and then I'd go on there and then read up all the theories and everything, and then we'd talk about it, and then get on to the next week and rinse and repeat. That's probably why my original iPod got knackered up, because I was using that to transfer files when I torrented them. Using it as a hard drive as well as it was supposed to be for. But this was written by a guy in a door factory who'd never written anything before. So there is an end. So I don't think we're not going to be in a situation like Game of Thrones where they didn't stick the landing, or the King's Landing, because it's not written yet and they made it up based on his ideas. And that kind of does ruin the whole of Game of Thrones, that last few episodes, because it was silly. I don't think it will with Severance. I think it's so bizarre that anything could be what it is.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it does feel like they have a destination in mind. Like, it doesn't feel slapdash, whereas I think Lost did. And whilst I didn't hate the ending of Game of Thrones at the time, looking back, it does feel quite hodgepodge. Like, let's just stick it together with sellotape and hope it holds it together. And it doesn't quite. Like, there's some amazing scenes in the last few episodes, but it doesn't work really. It doesn't really make sense.
No.
But I do feel like they have more of a plan. And 20 episodes, if they're going to continue with 10 per season, I think that should be enough to tell the whole looming story. It should be excellent.
I mean, you can have a whole episode based around one character who everyone hates, and it being absolutely revolutionary to the story.
Yeah.
And it worked. And obviously that was the lowest rated one of the whole series, because of course it is. But then you've got like 5 minutes of a man organising paper clips and straightening papers. Like none of it makes any sense. And why is he dancing? What's the point of any of it? Like, why is there a band practice? Like, is that what they do every day of their entire lives?
That was fantastic, that scene. Like, it's obviously pointless and makes there's no bearing to anything, but it was brilliant. because clearly Milchick was having the time of his life doing that. I love the clip that I'd put in the group chat where Cranwell Tillman, he's bringing out that band for the performance of the final episode at the Paley Centre, I think it is. And like he's clearly in his element. Absolutely fantastic. I think they mix in enough elements of fun that keeps the super serious stuff, like it keeps you on track with that. Because without those moments of light, this could be quite a heavy story, I think. So they do a good job of it. Even just bits when Brienne F. Tarth, Gwendolyn Christie, when she's in it with the lambs and goats and stuff like that is so weird and so bizarre that it does make it quite funny. So yeah, I think it's been rightly been held up as one of the best things. I can see why people have been talking about it so much, because it does have that losty feeling to it of there's clearly something going on behind here. What are the theories? It's the water cooler thing that we don't really have anymore in this day and age. Like we don't have the water cooler conversation the day after a TV show, or at least that's moved now onto social media. And this kind of feels like that show.
Yeah, and going on there and just putting #severance and just seeing the stuff is like going on that Lost forum all them years ago.
That kind of leads me on to one of the questions that I'd been thinking about. Apple TV, I feel like they've reinvented. They've brought back weekly episodic television. It kind of feels like Apple were the ones to do it, because before that, it felt like everything pretty much dropped at once. I know Prime sort of trialed dropping 3 and then a few as it goes along, but no one really talks about Prime. Like it's not the same. I don't think there's an event on Prime anymore. Whereas Apple TV, it feels like appointment viewing now. And we'd kind of moved away from that with Netflix, where they were just dumping entire seasons in one go. And I'm really glad we've come back to this way, because I do think sometimes it's nice to have a show and let it breathe and talk about the conspiracy theories that are going on there. I think that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, and I think, well, like I mentioned with Bosch, like you drop 4, then you drop 2, then you drop 3. So you want to binge the first lot, that doesn't really set in your mind, and then you wait a week, and then there's another 2. And if you're going to do it, be consistent. And I know like the Disney Plus way of doing it, where they do 2 or 3 first, and then there's one every week. I kind of get that, because obviously you're getting into it and the whole thing, but I do prefer it this way. For that reason, because even with like Daredevil, Born Again, or whatever it's called, as I say, Born Free, but that's not its name even. I'm amazed Born Free is not being played in Severance. It's a kind of song that they'd put on, but yeah, it's like Daredevil. I'm 2 behind now because I haven't watched it for a couple of weeks, but that's all it is. Like, there's no rush to watch it because it's 2 episodes, and you got an entire week to fit it in. And like the old way, where I remember like in school where I'd have it written down on a Friday, like what was on at what time, like TFI, and then Bottom, and then whatever else was on, probably Casualty on the Saturday or something like that. 999.
Fucking hell, I'd forgot about that. Michael Burke.
Yeah, Michael Burke. Yeah, it's Michael Burke with Accidents. But yeah, I much prefer it this way, because you have got something to look forward to. You do take it in more because you are thinking about it all week, and he gives you something to look forward to in a drab, knife-obsessed world. And you can. It's not like, oh yeah, okay. If you're watching 4 episodes of Formula One Drive to Survive, which it's throwaway TV. There's no point in me watching it anymore, because I know obviously it's last season's season. It's a review thing, more so than what it was to start with when it was about the drivers itself. But that's out, and there's like between about 10 episodes all in one go. a week before the new season starts. So you kind of go, well, I've got to watch this all at once
Yeah.
because it's not going to make sense as soon as the new season starts. And you're going back on storylines and different cars, and so you watch it and then you forget about it for another 51 weeks of the year until the next season.
Mm.
And that you can put Drive to Survive in Twitter or wherever, and people can talk about it, but you've got no idea what episode they're talking about because it's all at once. Whereas this gives you that opportunity if you want it.
Mm. Makes a big difference, doesn't it? Like I remember with Stranger Things, exactly the same thing happened there. People binged it in one day because they didn't want to miss anything. But then when the next season comes around in 12 to 24 months' time, because who knows when we're going to get this shit, you're not going to remember half of it because you've binged it. You took
Yeah.
in too much in one go and it kind of makes no sense. It's all a bit of a mush. And the conversations were kind of the same because people were at different points. So there was no real community until you got to the end of the season and then kind of tried to review it all in one. But even then, that's why I end up having to watch YouTube videos before watching the next season because I've forgotten most of it anyway because it's just become one glorious whole, just a big mess.
Yeah, them them catch up channels of doing rare in trade.
They're amazing, some of them. Like they're needed.
I mean, like, did you ever get round to watching? What can I not think of its name? It's even like the bear comes out every week, doesn't it? Because it's on FX.
I think they dropped them all in one go the last season.
Was it all in one go?
I think it was. The last season was at least.
I can't remember. I know when it. Oh, and it might have been. It might have been too hot. I can't remember. But I know what like Shogun was. That me and Ash watched, and
Mhm.
there's no way you could binge that. Not in a million years. It's too much, and it's like half. It's 3/4 of every episode in subtitles anyway. And there's so many characters. It's all in a language that's not ours. Names that you can't just remember as like Dave or Keith or whatever. So you have to kind of pay attention anyway. And it works for that. And that's been renewed somehow. But it works for some things, it doesn't for others. But for proper drama that gets people talking, it has to be weekly.
I agree. I completely agree. Which I think brings us on nicely to Silo, because I think that was another show that really benefited from having the breathing space between episodes. So I know me, you, and Matt, like, I think I had to watch 2 or 3 episodes in one go to catch up the first season, but then we've pretty much watched all of them at a similar pace, going through the other ones. I think that really did help because there is quite a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I deliberately didn't watch season 2 yet. For that because of Severance. So I thought if I start watching weird stuff and Yellow Jackets, which only me and Emma of Twitter, of the jacket fame, ironically, have watched, you can't have too much weird shit going on because it messes with your head. And like I couldn't watch House of the Dragon and Rings of Power at the same time this time around because it's too much. It's the same thing. It messes with it messes with my head. So once Yellow Jackets is finished, which it will be next week, then I can watch Silo season 2, and it works like that. And it works because it's so weird, and not many people have seen it.
I think like it is still unusual because obviously there's a central mystery to the Silo series. This one compared to Severance at least is a bit more linear, like it does make a bit more sense to it. This kind of feels like the Dharma Initiative of Lost. Like it's pointing towards one conspiracy rather than Severance, which is on a much grander scale, I feel. Which I think works very well for Silo because then it does give you, ironically, a more funnel-shaped storyline that they're doing with it, which has made it very, very good. Season 2 is good. You'll enjoy it when you get round to it. Steve Zahn is tremendous in it. I really like Steve Zahn anyway. I think he's a great actor. But throughout, I think it's been another feather in the cap of Apple TV. I don't think it's probably got the play that Severance has had, but I think it is as good as Severance.
Yeah, I'd say so, and especially from a season 1 point of view. At the time, I couldn't, because I remember you watched Silo before Severance, didn't you?
I think I did, because I watched Severance Christmas 2022, I think it was. So like almost a year after it was out.
Yeah, because I remember that being the thing. Like, if you liked Silo, watch Severance, and obviously no one listens to me, but it is like they nail sci-fi, and like on some of mine in a bit, it's pretty much all sci-fi.
Mm. I mean, that's another question that I'd put down. It kind of feels like where Netflix and Prime try and get as many viewers, in different age brackets, in different genres. I'll do a bit of everything. I don't feel like Apple do that. Apple TV feels like it's kind of geared towards a more serious audience. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of shows that cater to children, or at least I've not seen any mentioned when I've done any lists or of anything.
No,
It all feels like it's very much to a more serious audience. Bar Ted, I can't think of many comedies. Like, I've got talk about Shrinking in a little bit. I wouldn't even say Shrinking is a proper out and out comedy. It's something that's got comedic moments, but it's not a comedy. And Apple TV feels like it's very tunnel visioned on the type of audience that it wants to get.
Shrinking seems to be.
My phone, sorry, my watch decided to talk to it.
Yeah. You mentioned Shrinking. There we are. It feels like how people used to say Cold Feet is a comedy. It's not a comedy; it's a drama.
Yeah,
It's a dark comedy at best. It's a drama with comedic elements in it.
yeah,
It's humorous.
that's it. Yeah, it's that's kind of what I like about these type of shows, is that they're a bit more like real life. Because I think when you watch a proper drama, they don't always put funny bits in. Everything's heavy and weighty and drags you down. Whereas life isn't always like that. Even when life's shit, there's still bits of comedy in there that make you laugh. And I think that's what Shrinking and something like Cold Feet would do, is that they do show you that life can be tough, but it can also be funny. And that's the kind of comedy that I think works best, that they show you the both halves of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's funny that Apple TV are just very much, they want to appeal to a specific person rather than we just want to get everybody in on this. It's an interesting way to do it. Maybe that's why it probably hasn't taken off quite the way that other streamers have.
I do kind of think, what is the point of it? Like, because you don't know anyone who has it or pays for it anyway. Obviously, they've got more money than God anyway, so they've got to do something with it.
Vanity project, isn't it?
Is it just Is it just that it's a vanity project because they're doing it because they can, and that money's no object, so they're spending all the money on this mad stuff, and they can out HBO at times. Is that what the point of this is? Because it obviously doesn't bring people to iPhones or iPads or anything like that. So what is it for? It's a bit like Apple Arcade. Like, people obviously subscribe to that service. They're obviously paying for the games ahead of time. I don't know how much money they make, because they make so much money anyway.
Yeah, it's a drop in the ocean, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, is it just like, oh yeah, we do this as well? We're like a bit takeover, a bit Bond villainy, a bit Tomorrow Never Dies.
That's it. Steve Jobs is he's not dead. He's underground, but he's in his lair.
He's really Elliot Carver.
Right, Shu. So we've both picked 3 shows each that we think we can probably sell the other person on. So I'll go first, because we've already mentioned Shrinking. Now, I know you have watched a couple of episodes. I genuinely think this will be very much up your street once you fully get into it. This might be some of the best work Harrison Ford has ever done. Like, he's good in season 1. He's fucking excellent in season 2. Like, his performances are just incredible. The other woman who plays the Doctor, Jessica. Oh Christ, I'm gonna have to quickly Google it. But their interactions are so heartwarming and beautiful, and there's just enough sort of like, I don't say hatred because that's not the word. Jessica Williams, her name is Gabby. There's enough of like grist between them that it's like iron sharpens iron sort of thing. When it comes to like their comedic back and forth is excellent. As I said, it's Bill Lawrence, Scrubs, Ted Lasso, so you know that there's going to be comedy and there's going to be a lot of heart. Brett Goldstein has done some of the writing on it. Brett Goldstein appears in season 2. I want to cry every time Brett Goldstein is on screen in season 2. Like, he's funny with it, but it's so emotional and so draining, but wonderful. And Jason Segel might be the modern day Robin Williams. Like, he can do drama and he can do comedy, and he just makes you want to watch more because he's just watchable. There's just something about him that draws you in as a viewer. He's incredible. Michael Urie, who plays his best friend Brian, has some of my favorite moments throughout the show. Like, he's such a catty bitch throughout it, and he's hilarious with it. Like, everybody is just on form with this. And we all want a Derek in our life. So Derek is Kristen Miller's husband in this show, and he's the only person who is just good throughout. Like, everyone has their dark and light moments, and he's just the light throughout. He's brilliant. Everyone needs a Derek in their life, and it's excellent. And the comedy is so smart. It doesn't treat you like an idiot because you might not understand psychological terms or what someone's going through. It just holds your hand and brings you along with it. I think this might be one of my favourite comedies of the last 5 years. I think it's been absolutely outstanding work. It's up there with Scrubs when it comes to what Bill Lawrence has brought to this world for me. And that, for me, is the highest of praise.
Yeah. I know you've been raving about it, so I did give it a go. And I fully expect that this is just a time and place thing. Because anything with Harrison Ford in it is automatically a watch anyway, because he's unintentionally funny because of how grumpy he is all the time. Just being himself.
Yeah.
Even at the Game Awards last year when he was just on stage being baffled by it all. But like, we said about the whole drama comedy thing. You don't laugh out. Well, the first 3 anyway. I didn't laugh out loud, but I smiled a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what you want. And they're not very long either, are they? So it's almost like the antithesis of what we said. Oh, you don't really want to binge this because it is only like 35-minute episodes. But it feels like I should do a couple of them. Like when I watch Curb, you watch a couple and then move on, do something else.
Exactly it. Yeah, definitely. 2's enough, I think, with it.
Maybe that was the problem, that I watched 3 and it was too much.
Could be.
Yeah, the whole thing about it. I mean, Jason Segel is, like, forgetting Sarah Marshall in that, he's superb.
I like him in everything I've seen him in, even if I don't end up loving the rest of it. I just love him. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's one that's definitely, I hadn't mentioned it because I thought, well, I've only watched a few and I can't really give an opinion yet. Because it hasn't automatically drawn me in, but this has happened before, so yeah, it's definitely like in that half-hour bracket one because I haven't got any of them left anymore.
Yeah, there aren't many anymore, are there? Everything's prestige TV. It's nice to just have a half an hour comedy. What you got for me then, Stu?
So, knowing your love of Star Wars, Foundation. Now, this is another one that I'd heard of on, I think it was probably on Sacred Symbols because Colin Moore has got a few of the same tastes as mine. I thought it was going to be like Foundation ships and stuff and how that whole idea. And in a roundabout way it is, but it's more like if Star Wars was serious.
Okay.
And there's people in it that have it kind of, it's another one of these where I don't want to go too much into it because it's better finding out yourself. But I think it's in the third or fourth episode where you find out like there was the backstory to the battles and things that have happened. It's all human. How there was like a thing between religion and science. So they've gone so far into the future that which one was right, and you got people doubting, and you've got a whole remember the South Park episode, "A Ladder to Heaven." They've got
Promised Ladder to Heaven.
where they tried to get Kenny back for the first time.
Oh shit! Yes.
And then they build a literal ladder to heaven. There's like a sky ladder to something, and I watched it. I thought, it's fucking ladder to heaven. This is. I couldn't take it seriously.
That's the one with the country song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where are you when the big yeah.
Again, that trailer.
Oh God, Naked Gun. That I thought this is going to be shit, and the first gag, like they kind of like you knew it was going to be him dressed as the little girl. It's going to be shit, and then like a couple of things happen, and I was pissing myself at it. Genuinely thought this might actually not be terrible.
Yeah, and the fact that it's not a remake and that they're sons of.
Yeah,
and then
right thing to do.
And then they're all the sons of. So stupid. But well, yeah, we had the South Park trailer yesterday as well.
We did season 27, isn't it? Of the award-winning drama South Park.
But award-winning drama is what this should be. Jared Harris.
Oh, I do like a bit of Jared Harris.
There you go. That's all you need to know. He's exceptional in this.
I'd expect nothing less, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's even got a sci-fi epic space sci-fi drama sci-fi. Like, it couldn't be more sci-fi.
So it's proper heavy sci-fi stuff.
Oh, it's so. It's like drinking neat squash. It's that harsh. Like, you can't do. You watch one episode of this. That is it. No more.
Okay. So this is The Wire in space.
Oh, it might as well be, because I mean, hey, are they like 50 minutes episodes, something like that? Yeah. So like hour and 9, hour 50, 45. Like every episode's as long as it needs to be.
Okay.
But you have got some mental concepts going on as well, and this floating ship, like things in like a what's it called? Arrival.
Yes.
Things like that.
Okay.
And it's all about this, how this him particularly is like they're predicting things that are going to happen, and yet is he seeing that through his knowledge of numbers and science, or is it faith? So it's got a bit of that in it as well. It's not over yet though, but it's so hard, so not anyone, because it is. It's so super serious, and none of it's. Oh, we said, every drama's got comedy. There's no comedy in this. There's no smiling in this.
Right.
It's like proper like extreme nerddom, like Dune. It's like TV version of Dune. Right, okay. That's what it is. And in a similar kind of way, it looks phenomenal as well.
Excellent. I've not even heard of this one. I'm putting it on the list. That sounds fantastic. Right, my next one. Now, I've spoke to you about Slow Horses before. You need to give it a second chance.
Yeah.
You like 24. You like Bosch. And what's the other one? The main guy's, that guy's the main fella of it. And it's like quite a hard hit.
So Luther.
That's what can I think of fucking Luther? You like these kind of shows. I honestly think that if you give Slow Horses 2 episodes, you will be in. That first 10 minutes of the first episode is some of the best opening scenes of anything I've ever seen, where they're running a drill and he's running through the airport, but everything going off, and it's so tense and fast moving and fast paced, and it's just incredible. And then things go a little bit tits up and he ends up in Slow House. And Slow House is the place where all of the rejects of MI5 go. anyone who's a bit of a loser who they just want to get out of the way, go to Slough House, which is run by Oldman. Gary Oldman is phenomenal in this. He just plays basically, if Richard from Bottom, Rick Mayall's character, if he ran an MI5 division in his 60s, so he's just this dirty old man.
Just sucks.
That's pretty much what Gary Oldman does in Slow Horses. He's just this dirty old bastard who's sort of been around the block and he knows the game and he knows how to play it. Nothing is expected of these people because, as I say, they're the losers of the organisation. But they somehow always end up in the middle of like the biggest conspiracy that's gone on in British politics, and they're there to try and pull things back round for the good guys, or maybe stop the good guys from doing bad things. It's been an absolute revelation of television. I thought I'd put it on and I'll do 1-2 episodes a night. And then it was 3 a.m. and I've binged the whole season in one go because it is just absorbing television. I think they're 6-episode seasons and they've just finished either their 3rd or their 4th season. Each season is self-contained, so like in theory you could jump in at any season and just watch along, but go from the start and follow the team throughout their exploits, find out the history, how they ended up there, each person, because he plays a version of, like I said, I could almost imagine a Rick Mayall doing it. There is lighter moments to it. It's not all espionage and backstabbing in dark rooms. Like, there are moments of levity to it that are quite fun. But then the action is excellent as well. Like, they don't scrimp on it. They don't shy away from showing you the things that they have to do to keep the country safe. It's a brilliant, brilliant show. I think that this last season has kind of got a little bit more notoriety as well. Like previous years, I don't think people were talking about it, but
Yeah,
I think people have got eyes on it now.
Yeah, I think my issue with it was I watched it, and that first 10, 15 minutes with the running around and jumping over things, I thought, oh yes, this is 24. And then it goes into a brown room for like 25 minutes. I thought, well, why are all these people in this brown room with dusty old files for? And the whole thing, I mean, I must have watched 2 or 3 because I know there's the stuff with him as well, and not Gary Oldman, the other guy,
Jack Lowden.
Yeah. And I thought this probably needs to be concentrated on properly. But for some reason, it just didn't work. And like you said, all this stuff that I've watched in the past, all this police procedural, like fucking Liverpool 1, I can't remember that and thought about that for 25 years. And and Blue Lights, which is one of the best things BBC have made for ages. It was BBC Ireland. I love this stuff, and yet Slow Horses just didn't work for me. I don't know why. But I will one more time. I'll give it one more chance.
8.3 on IMDb show. It's very good.
No, I know. It's like everyone who's seen it like loves it. I felt like Foundation's on a 7.6. So, but I expect nothing less for what that is. But yeah, Slow Horses is one that it could just be the fact that it's one of these things. It could be that I need to watch it in the afternoon and not at night when I'm tired. Could be a lot of different things. But yeah, I'll do one more go.
You'll like it. I'm saying you'll like it when you watch it properly. What you got for me, Stu?
When talking about seeing things, see. And this was the first thing I watched on Apple TV. This one was on a bit earlier because this was 2019.
That is going back some, isn't it? Right.
It was one of the first ones there. 24 episodes, where it's a bit like Bird Box, Quiet Place.
Okay.
Where everyone's blind, so the whole world is blind. Exactly. It sounds weird. Again, hard sci-fi, dystopian sci-fi. It's listed on the IMDb here. But the reason I watched it was it's Jason Momoa.
It's enough of a reason, in fairness, isn't it?
Yeah, like I don't think you'd know any of the other people. I mean, David Hewlett, maybe he's been in a few things.
Archie Madueke, I know him.
Yeah, don't look too far across because
Okay.
there's people. Well, he comes in later. Batista's in it.
Oh, but that's yeah, that needs watching. Stephen Knight is
Yeah.
the on the right. Okay.
Yeah, it's again one of these things because it was buried so far deep, and it's 6 years old that no one's watched this other than me. No one I've ever met in my entire life has seen this show. Again, ironically enough, but yeah, that's the whole thing that suddenly, like Neo, a child is born, or two child born, who can see, and the whole thing of how does this even work anymore? How are they? Have they got a superpower? Are they special? Are they blessings? Who knows? We'll find out. The money was thrown at this. Again, this was a yeah, we've got fucking money. We'll do what we want. We'll get Jason Momoa and let him do whatever he wants and take his eyes away. And we'll get him wearing loincloths for the ladies and some men. And I thought it was really good. I think it's not brilliant, but I think for the people who are in it, I think you'd actually really enjoy it. It's got it's a bit Conan-like.
Okay. Look, we haven't had a good Conan type movie for years either. So, like, yeah, I'm in for that.
It's a bit, yeah. It's got a bit of that. It's got a bit of like the Planet of the Apes films. It's a bit of that mixed in as well.
Excellent.
And there is stuff like what happened. It's dystopian, so
have they completed the story now? Is it all done?
It's been off for a couple of years. Yeah, it's been off for a couple of years. I was satisfied by it.
Super.
They could do more. I don't think they ever need to, for me. But I don't remember a big controversy about it at the end. So, yeah, really good.
Excellent. I'll be checking that one out. The last one I've got for you, Stu, Mythic Quest.
This is the game one, eh?
It's the game one. I was surprised when you said you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
That it was on your list of things it's seen. Knowing what you like with video games and everything, and I know this is more of the PC gaming MMORPG world, which isn't really your cup of tea as far as I'm aware. But the jokes in it aren't really about that. Like, whereas I think stuff like Big Bang Theory, I think they make geek culture the butt of the joke. These don't do that. These don't laugh at people who like that kind of game. They laugh at the people within the sphere of it. And again, the comedy comes from, it's a workplace sitcom. Effectively, it just so happens they work on a big, like the biggest game in the world at the time. There's like, they even do stuff with streamers and all this, not real streamers, but like people who play streamers, and they'd make jokes about the YouTube world, like the people who become obsessed with it and get famous off the back of it. Like, there's one episode in the last season where they just follow one streamer who is going from being a streamer to try to become basically an adult now. The jokes are very smart throughout. Again, a bit like I said with Trinking, like they don't treat you like idiots if you're not massively into that world. It's written by Rob McElhenney, who is It's Always Sunny, the part owner of Wrexham FC. I think he's pretty much like the driving force. Him and Charlie Day, also from It's Always Sunny, they're the driving force in the creative department. You've also got the guy who was the priest in It's Always Sunny, who then becomes the hobo in It's Always. What the fuck's his name? Can't even remember the guy's name in it now. But he's also in it anyway. I can't think what his name is. Cricket. David Hornsby is his real name. He played Rickety Cricket in It's Always Sunny. He plays one of the main roles in Mythic Quest as well. Danny Pudi, who was in Community, and one of the boys in DuckTales. I love Danny Pudi. It's got a pretty strong cast. It's very funny. Like I say, it's a workplace sitcom. So just if you don't know the MMORPG world, which I don't, I never really did World of Warcraft or anything. You don't need to know about it. You just need to know about the roles in that world, which he does a good job of explaining as it goes along. It's a very, very decent comedy that, like I said with Apple, I don't feel like they've got a lot of them. And this is probably the closest to a comedy that I think Apple have done.
I think the problem, I think it was the Ted Lasso trap that I watched the trailer at probably the Game Awards, if I'm thinking back. Because it's based on Ubisoft in a roundabout way.
Right. Okay.
As one of them went there to get background information or something like that, and it was kind of loosely based around them in that they don't do one of these games. And the trailer was not very good. And I thought this could be cringy. And I never give it a chance. Even knowing who was involved in it, I thought I'll just never give it a chance. I thought I know these people are not gamers, so is it going to be the whole, yeah, we can't hold controllers properly, kind of thing, which is irrational hate. But whenever you see that on any TV show, it's like, well, this is fake, then, isn't it? Instantly.
They do the gaming side of things kind of justice, I think. Like they play it with a straight bat. They don't, like I said, they don't take the piss out of the target audience. The target audience being gamers, whereas Big Bang Theory took the piss out of comic book readers like me. That made me hate it. They don't do that here. Like, they give it the respect that it's due. That's not the butt of the joke.
Yeah, I don't know Big Bang because it's shit. I don't even know where it's coming. I mean, they could say, I mean, the fact that the Switch 2 games cost $80 is the butt of everyone's joke. Well, it's $80 for a digital version. It's $90 for the physical ones.
That's right.
The
digital version should be cheaper. It shouldn't be 80 fucking quid, but it should be cheaper.
In Mario Kart, I mean, this might be the first machine in 20 years? 19, when did 19 years, PS3. I didn't go PS3 until a couple of years later. But PS4 got on day one. Vita got on day one. VR, PSVR 2, day one. PS5, day one. Switch, day one. Series S, day one. I ain't got 500 quid lying around for this thing.
No.
It just won't happen this time.
No, I agree. Ridiculous. What's your last one on your list?
Hijack. Speaking of Luther and Idris Elba. Yeah, it was a very good 6-episode miniseries in real time of a hijack. With maybe this is where the Apple money ran out, because the CG in this is very shit.
Oh, okay.
The plane is very air crash investigation, unfortunately, which is a shame because everything else is all right. And you've got the whole thing because of, obviously they go into it's very cliche and it's very it's very Channel 5. And it's not up to the Apple TV standard, really, compared to what we've said already. If this was on Netflix, everyone would hate it. Because that just seems to be the way.
Yeah.
It's not USS Indianapolis. It's not that bad. But it's not great, and unfortunately. But it has amazingly got a season 2 soon. But 6 episodes, real time. Idris Elba. That's all you need to know, really.
Yeah, that's enough sometimes, isn't it? A big name, a bit of a gimmick, job done.
Yeah. And the whole thing of him being the one with the background and being the one on the plane who can do anything about it. But he's not a Arnie, he's not a superpowered cop or anything like that. He's there, he can do something about it. but he's got family as well, and the hijackers know this. It's very paint by numbers. There isn't many. Well, there is twists, but you probably guess them anyway. But there's not really other point. It's a good fun ride. 6 hours. That's all you need.
Super. I mean, I'm always in for a bit of Idris, to be honest. Like he always gives you something. I think when you watch him on TV or in film, he's an interesting actor. He holds the screen well, and like you say, it's only 6 hours and bit of paint by numbers fun. Yeah, fuck it, why not? How are they going to do a season 2? Is the airplane going to get hijacked again? It'll be like, is it going to be Under Siege 2, but on a train? Is that it?
Well, they did that on BBC, didn't they? There was a BBC series on a train last year.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, what was that called? It was, again, the CG wasn't the best in that either. BBC hijack train. Someone's actually put this in. Night Sleeper.
I remember the name. I don't think I saw anything of it though.
It was okay. Again, it was the train version of this.
Okay, right. Outstanding. Right. Anything that you're looking forward to watching that you haven't got round to yet on Apple TV?
Other than the ones that we've mentioned already, there's. I mean, this is bad now because there's more. I've still listened to this because I didn't expect to be turned into watching Slow Horses again. Masters of the Air is the one it's made by Band of Brothers Pacific.
Right. Okay.
It's the Air Division version of that, and I should have watched this already. I completely forgot about it. I don't know how. And For All Mankind is the other one. Which, for the reasons I said earlier, I didn't want two extreme sci-fi space dramas at the same time, especially on the same fucking platform. So that kind of pushed to the wayside. And as well, The Expanse was on, so it would have been 3, even though The Expanse I'd already watched before. So that was never going to get confused with that. I'd say watch that, but they've removed half the series away now, so you can't unless you nick it from somewhere. But yeah, this is the whole thing of if Russia won the space race and what would happen then.
Right. Okay. So it's this world with a twist. Interesting.
Yeah, a bit like I don't know if it's going to be as good as Man in the High Castle, which is the best prime thing ever made. Again, no one talks about. But that was all right. That was alternative reality stuff. And this is just, okay, here you are. This is the premise. Run with it. And it looks really fascinating in the fact that is there 3 or 4 seasons of it now? That it seems to be on the top of all these things all the time. For All Mankind. Again, that was one of the early ones. So 50 episodes of it. 2019.
Plenty to catch up on there then.
Yeah. Joel Kinnaman.
Do you like Joel Kinnaman? I think he's a solid actor. You know what you get from him.
Yeah. Is there anyone else in there? Oh, there's like the usual ones who've like been in everything. Like Law and Order and CIA.
Right, yeah.
Them kind of people.
The American version of The Bill and Casualty, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's really the only one that you'd recognise. But yeah, I mean, the other one, we'll come on to it because it's on yours as well.
Yeah, so that one is Criminal Record.
Yeah.
Which has got the 11th Doctor. No, not the 11th, the 12th Doctor, isn't it? In it. Peter Capaldi. Anything with Peter Capaldi, he's one of those actors for me that, again, he brings a gravitas to any role. And this one is about... there's only one season, isn't there, that they got around to doing on this one, I think, but it has been renewed for a second season. As far as I don't know a lot about it, it was literally off the back of Capaldi being in it. And I remember him doing an interview on the Kermode and Mayo show talking about it, and it sounded fascinating that it's basically a cold case that gets brought back into the light, and I think he play a detective alongside someone else, and they're sort of butting their heads on how to progress the case. It sounded really interesting. I don't know how I missed it. Like, I remember hearing the interview and thinking I need to watch it, and then for whatever reason just fell by the wayside. So seeing it on the list of the Apple TV, so I was really glad to see it there because it reminded me that it was one that I wanted to watch.
Yeah, it's exactly like Waking the Dead and Unforgotten and all these excellent things that I'm obsessed with as well. So again, because it's there. If this was on Netflix and you saw it every day,
Yeah,
it'd be watched by now.
yeah,
And this is the problem.
yeah. You are right. It's it's the failure of the system, isn't it? The other things that I've got on my list: presumed innocent. Prosecutor becomes a prime suspect in the murder of a colleague with whom he was having an affair. Starring Ruth Negga, who was in Preacher, and Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, I mean, that's two names that I will give anything a go that they're in. This sounds good. I like a good sort of like a courtroom drama. So the fact that it's going to be based around, lawyers and stuff, I think is interesting. We've also got the murder mystery side to it. Again, that sort of tickles my fancy somewhat. So that's one that I wanted to watch. And the other one, which I think was released earlier this year, I believe, maybe late last year, is something called Disclaimer. And it's written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. And it's starring Kate Blanchett, Kevin Kline, Sacha Baron Cohen, Leslie Manville, Cody Smith-McPhee. Indira Varma does some of the narration on it too. It's Catherine Ravenscroft is a documentary journalist, and she finds out that she is someone who's writing a book about her, and they're going to be revealing a secret from her past. It's apparently a very slow burny kind of a show, but it jumps from the past to the present and reveals more of the story as you go along, and you find out what what Kate Blanchett's character has done in her past that she's worried is going to come out to the world. It's probably the cast and director on this more so than anything else that really interests me. Like, I really like Kate Blanchett, and that's a very strong supporting cast. But yeah, Alfonso Cuarón being the writer and director on it should be solid. So that's one. I mean, he probably did the best Harry Potter, if I'm being honest. So yeah, that's the other one that I wanted to watch. Right, okay, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll be talking about Cage in Rage. Welcome back. Stu, I'd never heard of this. Like, literally, when I read it to tell you what we were watching next, that was the first time I'd heard of this film.
Yeah, same. So then you instantly go on there, and I did it through the blue button service on the Fire Stick. I'm not waking all your devices up by saying its name.
Yeah.
And I put Rage, and then the other version of it come up. Look, what the hell is going on? Why is it just not called Rage? If you say Rage and this comes up, then why? But it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was one of them things where if you could sign up for this thing for a 7-day free trial, you could watch it on there.
Right, okay.
Which I did that the other day as well. One of the last ones we watched. It was on there. It was a similar kind of thing where you could sign up for these weird extensions in Prime that you get sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen those before. It's like MGM TV, and it's fucking £50 a month, but you can have a 7-day free trial. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so I just did that. So I'll also remember to cancel that tomorrow when I've had a look through if there's anything else on there, which there won't be. But yeah, and you're just looking at him and you thought, well, you can tell by his widow's peak what era this is. And
yeah,
signs weren't good. It's just sort of...
One of my notes is that we haven't done Wig Watch for a while, but do we think he's actually had a hair transplant at this point?
It's got to be,
because there's no way that he's got a fucking widow's peak as high as he's got, and he hasn't gone completely bald without having had a hair transplant.
Yeah,
it's just got to have been done, surely.
Yeah, if you look at him in them videos on the red carpet last year, with that guy who was doing the impression of him next to him,
Yeah.
His hairline is not the same as this.
No. And like, we've seen stuff of him where he's got the widow's peak that isn't as high as it is there as well. But like the early, like where he had his fucked up teeth and stuff, like his hairline isn't good at that point. So I reckon, yeah, I think he's going to have had a couple of done at least.
And it's in the like you can probably trace it back to like that swearing show that he did on Netflix, where that was the modern Cage look.
Yes, because he had like a straight fringe, didn't he?
Yeah.
In that, yeah, you are right. That I think that must have been at least his second notable one anyway. He's got to have had others done it throughout the past. But like to go with that in this film, he's also got like fucking shoe polish black hair as well. Like it looks terrible.
And it goes at the back of his head like a crash helmet as well, like a racing helmet.
He's emptied a can of hairspray on that, I think, because it looks absolutely solid. Yeah, I think this is the wiggiest he's looked in a while. And I do think we said that this is the dark period for Cage. The 2010s, I think, are where we get a lot of the shit. And this is very much one of them. Like immediately when I started to watch this film, I was like, this looks like a Lifetime movie. But it's not done on film, it's done on videotape. Like it has to be because it's got that soap opera look to the quality of the film. Not a film. It's a straight to TV nonsense by the feel of it.
Yeah, there's one section where it looks like the Bourne Ultimatum, where it's jumping all over the place in that chase scene, which is probably been sped up, if we're all being honest.
Yeah, 100%.
And because unless you've actually shaken the camera that much as well, there's no way. And they're not running that fast either.
No.
But yeah, it's a tricky one, this one, because I thought for the first 40 minutes, I was actually really into it. I thought, this is good. This is. It's not good, is it? But it's entertaining. This is. And then it just kind of went a bit insane.
Yeah. It started off okay. I mean, just as a very brief overview, man gets his daughter kidnapped and killed. Man turns out to be a former mobster and seeks his vengeance. I think that sums up the entire film, really. Like, there's not much to it, to be perfectly honest. The first question I did have, though, is why is his daughter in school when she's clearly a 32-year-old mother of three? Like, she was not a fucking teenager in this film.
Yeah.
She looked haggard, that woman did in this film.
Yeah, she looked older than her stepmom. And she might have been, who knows?
Yeah, quite possibly.
I mean, she's as soon as she appeared, I thought, oh yes, I love her. She was she was the star of Continuum. Never watched Canadian sci-fi drama with a man called
Don't
Kellogg.
think I've even heard of it.
No, it was. I think it might have actually been on Sci-Fi.
Okay, right.
Continuum. Rachel Nichols.
No, never heard it. It's 7.6.
It's really good. It's
Rodney Cross, I recognise him.
Timey-wimey stuff.
Right, okay. No, that's a new one on me. It's a sci-fi thing, and it looks terrible in the the trailer that's running. Like, yeah, it looks proper soap opera-y.
Yeah, it's like sending criminals to the past and to the future, and it's all very corporation control.
Right.
If you get over the sci-fi jank and stuff, it's actually all right. And it's got an end as well. Well, these things generally don't, but that did. So I thought, oh yeah, I like her. But she's very underused.
I feel like everybody is, because really there's only Cage who gets any screen time. But he's also the only one who feels like an actual actor in this. Like everyone else feels like they may have done a bit of stunt work and had the odd line here and there in something, but they're not really actors, they're just day players. Cage feels like an actual actor here, I think.
Yeah, especially his couple of old friends.
Yeah, I mean, like, they just feel like they were picked up at the school gates, those pair, don't they? Like, they shouldn't have been there, so we'll just take them away and we'll put them in this film, is how they feel like they've found their way onto this set.
And then the actual Russian man who beats one of them later on with his flat nose.
He was weird. Like,
Yeah.
he was I don't know if they dubbed him or not, I couldn't quite tell, but his face didn't move like his voice should have been. It just wasn't. The other weird thing is, Peter Stormare is in this, who
Yeah.
played, Frank O'Connor? Was that his name?
Yeah.
I think he played someone called Frank O'Connor, the Irish mobster with an Irish mobster name and a fucking Russian accent. What are you doing?
In a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair for reasons? Yeah, that was weird. That was very weird.
Because having only when I was playing Dark Pictures the other week, and I was thinking of Beast Storm because it obviously been in Until Dawn, and every week trying to get it to play, and then he appears in this, and I thought, oh, I hadn't even considered that he might be Irish in this. It doesn't even make any sense. Why is he called that for?
No, like, it's only because I read the Wikipedia after I'd watched the film, like, see if there's anything interesting about it, and I read it and I thought, he was an Irish mobster, but he was putting an accent on that definitely wasn't Irish. It was very strange, that was. But then, like, Nick was supposed to be an Irish mobster, and so were his buddies, and none of them really sounded Irish or Irish American at the very least.
Yeah,
Strange film.
it's just one of these things like everyone, like Americans calling themselves Irish when they're like their grandparents were Irish and they've never had a Guinness in their life, that kind of thing.
That's it. Somebody in their lineage once went to Dublin, and that was enough. The director on this, Stu, is a gentleman called Paco. I think it might be Cabezas. Cabezas. So Cabezas. I don't know. His highest rated film is a film called Mr. Right, which has got Anna Kendrick and Sam Rockwell. I've seen it. It's not very good, but it's got them in, so I watched it. And that's his highest rated film with a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes, you can't find Rage on there because it's listed as Tokarev or Tokarev, however you pronounce it. That is his lowest rated film with a good old 13% positive reviews. So this guy hasn't had a particularly great career. He only appears to have had like maybe a dozen or so credits. One of his credits is in a film called Teacher in a Bikini.
Wow.
So who knows what the fuck that's about. But yeah, he hasn't made much by the looks of it.
But isn't like that the crazy that Cage did this film because he liked that film that you're on about? I'm sure I read that as a thing.
That again, it's that period of Cage where he does a film because his eye explodes. I wouldn't put it past him. Anything.
A huge fan of Neon Flesh, his second film,
God,
which has got a
Jesus Christ
5.6.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it'll be any better. All of his films, they seem to be basically the same shitty hitman in a weird position kind of film. I don't. He doesn't appear to have much range, this director.
It's like the
Which is not
Spanish
surprising.
though.
Yeah, seems it. Good, bad, anything? I mean, good. It was nicely violent. I thought. I thought that the fight scenes were quite hard hitting, a bit grisly. I liked that.
Yeah, and the chase and the car chases and the action scenes, I thought they were actually really good for considering what this is.
Yeah.
I thought if again, like talking about Hijack, this could have been. They could have used miniatures and it had been ridiculous. But you can see they've obviously done there's a lot of work gone into these, the choreography and everything. So fair play. That was actually all. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was the highlight, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I found the film very paint by numbers. Like, I don't think any of the script I hadn't seen in another film. Like, a lot of it felt like it was in films that Nic Cage has been in, to be perfectly honest. That it felt very, we've been here already on this podcast watching this film.
Yeah.
I did like the message of the movie that,
Mm.
violence begets violence, and it's all sort of pointless. I liked that about it.
Yeah, no, it was proper like telegraphed as well. Where when they were in the in that diner or laundry or whatever it was, where he said it's all about this first and not talking and then punching. It's all about
Yeah.
guns first. You think, well, yeah, of course.
Like, I liked the idea more than the execution, I think.
Yeah.
Because it was like, the script was terrible. It was just boring, uninspired. If it's in a mob film, we'll put it in this.
Yeah, it
And
is
yeah.
like a student drama.
And like, even the twist, so to speak, wasn't really a twist. We knew what was going to happen from 5 minutes in. It wasn't original.
Yeah, spoilers. I mean, I didn't, of course. It never even crossed my mind. I thought maybe I was overthinking it to think there's something else going on here.
You give too much credit.
I gave it too much credit. Didn't it never crossed my mind that it was going to be him at all, like whatsoever, until he's there on the roof. Oh my God. I was actually shocked by my own stupidity. But then how it ends, I thought that was the bad part, though. The second half, like where he does just turn into nonsense, and then where it ends like that, he just killed himself.
Yeah, the second half I did think was a bit of a drag. Like, it got needlessly wordy because it had sort of just been a bit like action heavy nonsense.
Yeah,
and that was fine. Like, I could have put up with that, I think. But then it tried to get a little bit too philosophical for its own good. I thought, fuck this film now. Like, I think if it had ended, as you said earlier, about 45 minutes in, it probably would have been okay. But anymore, nah, not for me. Crazy. The sex scene, I think that was the limpest sex scene I've ever seen. Like, it wasn't sexy at all. I don't think he even put it in. It was terrible. No, not impressive.
I mean, the fact that we were led to believe that someone like that is falling over him, looking like that. The way she was, and the way that they're all leeching after her stepmom as well. That was quite funny.
That was amusing. So the name Tokarev. So it's a Russian surname. I spent the whole film trying to figure out why I couldn't find a lot of stuff on Rage. Apparently, Tokarev is the name of the gun, the type of gun that the whole thing revolves around. Is it just me, or is that not a famous thing that people know? Because it doesn't feel like it really. I mean, I know the gun plays a part in why the film goes the way it does, why the story goes the way it does. But to a general audience, like, that just felt really meaningless for it to be Tokarev. I wonder if that's why we've not heard of this either, because it's got this really uninspired name in the UK and Europe.
I mean, how many guns do you actually know off the top of your head?
I mean, a Smith & Wesson, and then I'm probably Uzi, sawn-off shotgun. Like, I'm stuck after that, to be honest.
Winchester.
Yeah.
Walther PPK. Again, but that's Bond stuff.
Yeah, like, it's a bit of a struggle. Like, I that would have been a terrible, terrible title if that's what it was released as in this country. Yeah. Rage isn't much better. I mean, at least it tells you what to sort of expect. But yeah, I thought changing it to Tokarev. Tokarev sounds like it's the name of a Russian dissident who's been imprisoned in Siberia. Like, that's what it feels like, and this film is nothing like that.
I think it didn't sell anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if they had gone with Tokarev properly and not giving it two names, and it being the thing where, like, the closing shot of the entire film is it zooming in on the gun and it says Tokarev on it. That's better.
I mean, something.
And then you're thinking, well, that's what it was about all along, that gun, and it was his gun.
Yeah. Maybe. It just felt like they didn't stick the landing whatsoever with anything with this film. I think it just ran out of steam for me, to be perfectly honest. And it was searching for an ending
Mm.
for pretty much 40 minutes of the runtime, which isn't a good look. Did you enjoy the film?
Kind of. Like I said, first half, yes, I did. Second half, no. And then he kind of brought him back in again by not realising what was going on with that last 5 minutes. In a kind of shock factor. And then how the titles came up and then it went back to the film again. But that was a bit weird before it went to black. But it was meh. I'm not going to, again, next question. I'm not going to, you're going to say, oh yeah, if you liked this film, go and watch this because you're not going to enjoy this. This is like it's a completionist thing. We've seen worse than this. It's up there with freaking Pay the Ghost.
Yeah, instantly forgettable nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd have turned it off if it wasn't for this podcast because it just got boring. Cage, good or bad? I think he was good because he was the only one who looks like a proper actor. It's not a great performance. It's a fine service performance for the film that it is.
Yeah, as soon as he put that brown jacket on, he was sound. Because any other time he didn't wear that jacket, he was uncomfortable and weird.
He looks like this is going to say like super fucking niche thing to say. He looked like a fat man who'd lost a lot of weight because he looked uncomfortable in his skin and almost sickly at points. Like his face looks a little bit plasticky, like it was going to fall off. It was a strange one.
Cage's face falling off. The irony. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean though. That's a perfect summary because, yeah, it was bizarre, but at times he was good, and we did one crazy Cage moment, when he's rah scream.
Yeah, we got something at least, didn't we? Yeah.
I mean, why was that roof so wet? What was going on with the drainage? That's what I was thinking of.
What a weird fucking film.
I think like when you have like within the first 5 minutes the quote of "share the same honeypot, it makes us milk brothers." I'm gonna love this film, and then it never got any better.
No, it was started on a high and it was all downhill from there. If you liked Rage or Tokarev, you may also like anything similar you can think of that might not be dog shit.
So, Taken's the obvious one, isn't it?
I mean, it's very much so because it is about the daughter getting kidnapped and he's going to get her back initially, and then obviously we find out that she's dead. I feel like if you like this, John Wick would blow your fucking mind. If you want something cagey, do you remember Revenge, a Love Story, where he plays the copper who kills all the people who raped that woman? I mean, what a fucking film that was. 5 minutes in and we got a rape scene. Oh, Jesus. At least that film was on the so bad it's good side of things. I don't think this is. I think this is on the so bad it's bad because the last half of this film stinks. If you want something cageless, Dead Man's Shoes. It's a revenge story.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I mean, it's similar themes, but it's like incredible. Like, oh god, yeah, like it's fucking heartbreaking, but it's a revenge story. It's a lot better done than this film. So I think if you like the revenge side of it, Dead Man's Shoes. Right, okay, that's another Cage film in the record books. We'll be back next week where we'll be talking about Between Worlds is the next Nic Cage film that we've got to watch too. Again, this is another one I have never heard of. This is probably going to be like a fucking 2016 dog shitter as well. Between Worlds. Let's have a quick look on IMDb and see what it tells us. It's a 2018 90-minute film. Cage looks extremely ratty in the trailer. It's a 3.1 IMDb. A young woman in a coma appears to be possessed by the soul of a tormented man's dead wife. It's a fantasy, mystery, thriller. This is going to be pay the ghost bad, isn't it? But we'll be watching that and having a discussion about that. The first half of next week will be the WrestleCast. Hopefully we'll have a couple of our friends on to talk about a few wrestling things. Stu will be taking the questioning duties on that one because he's the filthy casual of the group. So make sure you join us next week. Podcasters, make sure you're subscribed, and a 5-star review would be phenomenal. If you need us on the socials, at Cage Fighting Pod everywhere, and cagefightingpod@gmail.com on the emails. And for this week, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah. I've been Stu, everyone. I didn't introduce myself, but there we are. 2 hours, 13 minutes. You know by now. Goodbye.
It's goodbye from me too. And remember, be excellent to each other.